It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day again, everybody. Welcome to the program, County-Wide. Brad Miller with you. And we're happy to welcome into the studio today a guest that we have chatted with a number of times. Karen Kasula today is here representing Catholic Social Services, Catholic Charities Community Service. And Carol is the program director there. And we say hello and good day to you.
Good morning.
Always fun to have your smile come in here. You know,
Thank you.
You are so happy with what you do with this organization. We'll talk about that today, but good to have you come back in studio and chat with us. And today we're going to talk about a program that is currently being utilized by our second guest, and that is Rick. And hello to you, sir.
Hello.
Good to have you here on this first day of November. And as the seasons change and temperatures cool and things, that kind of plays into what we're going to talk about a little bit here today, Carol. So what I'd like to do, we're going to talk about Spread the Warmth, the current program or drive, I guess you could say, that Catholic Social Services, I think statewide, is really undertaking. And that's a little self-explanatory just in what it's about. Winter's coming, and even in the desert, especially in the desert, it gets very cold, especially at night. And of course, in our high country, hats, gloves, things like that, folks may need those things. They do need those things, and that's what this current drive's about. So we'll talk about that too. But let me first, just kind of by way of introduction, I think most of our audience will know about Catholic Social Services, but tell me about the Loft program and entity and what that is, because that's new to me, and maybe our audience too.
I'd be glad to. Yes, the Loft, we are moving into our third year, and what is so unique about the Loft is that really the services that we provide there are many, and it really came about because we interviewed our community homelessness individuals, and we asked them what they were missing in terms of services. So the Loft is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 to 5. It's located at the Catholic Charities office. It gets its name Loft because it's on the second floor of our building in the front. And individuals who come to the Loft, they're able to utilize computer system, access a computer system so they can keep in touch with family members, they can apply for employment, they can look at housing resources, community resources, but it's a very welcoming, open space. They can take showers, laundry facilities, they can cook meals, they have access to a clothing room, and of course this drive, which really is unique to the Verde Valley, that will fill our clothing room, and it's really bigger than just clothing. We're actually looking for blankets and boots and tents and things that are going to keep people warm this winter.
I want to get into that more in depth in a moment, but the one thing you didn't say about the Loft is beds, because that's not what this is.
That is not what this is.
Okay. And to me, that I bring that up because to me it illustrates the importance of, even more so, of everything else that you did say. This is not, like, I just wonder if some people just kind of hear that, as I did when I very first thought of this, that's what this is, a shelter. And it's really not in the way most of us might think of a shelter.
Right. What it is a homeless drop-in center.
Okay.
So basically people drop in, they get their needs met in terms of services and programs, and then from there, at the end of the day, they do leave and go back to whatever their living situation is.
Right. And Rick is a guest of the Loft right now. Yes, how did you find this service?
I just, through word of mouth.
Yeah.
When I came to Cottonwood, and I really had no place to go, and I wasn't sure about what I was going to do, and I was directed to the Loft by word of mouth, and took care of my needs immediately. Fantastic.
Do you want to share some of your story with us? Can you say how you kind of found your way to Cottonwood, and then?
Well, I had some property back east, and I lost I had to leave, financial problems. And so me and my 4 dogs got in a van, and I had a friend that was in Arkansas that came out here to the west, and I was looking for him. And we met up together here, and you know, I had some money, but not very much. I had limited resources and had issues with my vehicle and other things, just regular needs of daily life. And you know, I came to the loft, and it's just been a real encouragement. You know, I could use the phone and call my family long distance for free, check out job interviews or applications on the internet there free of charge. So it was a real godsend for me.
Sure. I heard somebody say just secondhand one time, and it really, quite honestly, kind of enraged me. And the gist of it was, and I was eavesdropping and had no business, I tell you, I wish I hadn't heard it, but the insinuation that this gentleman was saying to a friend or coworker, what have you, at lunch was that most people who are homeless are so because they want it. It is a choice, flat out. Rick's story, I would think that certainly is not the case, and I'd be willing to bet in most cases it's not. And the reason I bring that up is because some may kind of look at what the Loft does and what Catholic Social Services does in general as kind of enabling that behavior, if we can say that. Whereas, well, if they choose to be homeless, let them be that way. You've spent your life fighting those kinds of things, and that's why I want to bring it up. It seems to me that the Loft and what that program does is a perfect illustration of how to bring someone, should they choose to, which I assume most do, to get out of that situation.
Absolutely.
And to get back on the horse, whatever that horse may be. Is that right?
Well, what I would like to say is that the mission of Catholic Charities is that we choose to help our community's most vulnerable individuals and families. But in saying that, we do that with solutions that permanently change lives. So we are about meeting the daily needs at the Loft, but in doing that, we are also trying to assess the situation, refer to local community services, and get people on their feet. And we are getting people housed at the Loft. So it's hopefully a very temporary situation. But unfortunately, Catholic Charities is the organization that receives individuals that are in a homeless situation. And we feel that our mission tells us that we need to serve these individuals. But again, I just want to stress with solutions that permanently change lives. And we are building our housing base here in the Verde Valley and with services attached. So I really want to stress that we are going beyond the homeless individual. We are keeping our eye on permanently, stably housing individuals.
Sure. Rick, minus Carol's program and minus what you just described for us, your involvement with the Loft specifically, can you even guess, what your situation might be today?
Well, it wouldn't be where it's at now.
Sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But the one thing I like about the Loft is when you experience any kind of financial difficulty, or you lose a job, or you lose a place to stay, it gets kind of bleak out there. It doesn't seem to be any solutions. And the one thing I like about the Loft is it offers hope.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the good thing. I mean, all of a sudden your situation doesn't seem as bleak. There's a solution. It can work out. That's what I like about the Loft, okay, because it doesn't have to be a no-win situation.
Yeah.
It can turn around.
Yeah, there's enough there.
There's enough there.
We hear that kind of psychologically with joblessness so high. I think a lot of us tend to think, well, that's a financial matter. You don't have money because you're not working. And as Rick described, there's so much mental component that comes to that, especially if you have a family and can't provide. Those kinds of things. And you hit exactly on the head what I was kind of trying to get to, how this provides not just the specific services, the shower, the computer access, the phone calls, and so on, but just the sense of hope and being able to kind of push on.
Correct. And I think one of the things that warms my heart at the Loft is how our guests support one another. And that is just very wonderful to watch. And it happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Rick happens to be one of those individuals that really mentors a lot of, without being paid, without even volunteering to do that. He does it. And it really is encouraging folks who may be in fairly deep despair about their situation.
Pay it forward is a real thing.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is alive and well at the Loft.
Okay, let's take a short break. We'll come back. Rick and Carol Casula will share more with us. We'll talk about the Spread the Warmth Drive, the Catholic Charities Community Services in Cottonwood, and we're back to Countywide right after this.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I was in junior high the first time I caught my mom using denial. She had to have known her painkillers were missing because I kept stealing them. Her denial was so out of hand.
So she doesn't even know? I'm going out.
It was like I could get away with anything.
You kids have fun.
And that was when I knew. When she was addicted to denial.
Denial is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back to the program. Brad Miller with you. It's Countywide. Carol Casula, Rick, today talking about the Catholic Charities, Community Services operating in the Verde Valley and Catholic Social Services everywhere, frankly. But you can never get enough done. You've always got something more to do. And the latest program with winter coming, snow's going to fly very, very soon, already has, frankly, in the Northland, is Spread the Warmth, very much what it suggests. Coats, hats, gloves, winter wear. Beyond clothing, sleeping bags, hiking boots, perhaps tents and things like that, I think, Carol, are part of this.
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
All of those are so necessary. We have a clothing room, as I mentioned earlier, at the Loft, but we really go through a lot of warm clothing through the winter. So this is kind of our time when we stock up on those necessary items. And coats, hats, gloves, any kind of winter wear, sleeping bags, hiking boots, we certainly want those in good condition. And tents are so needed. Even the vinyl or canvas to put down on the ground to keep the tent from taking on moisture is very, very needed. So we just ask our community to look around, and if they have any of those items that are taking up space and not being used, we would so appreciate those donations at Catholic Charities.
One of the shows that we've done, among many, is with Al Cornell. He's a search and rescue fellow. And one of the things he said to me one time, it's a little different for everybody. Hypothermia can occur in human beings in the 40-degree range. most, I think, people think, well, it's got to be freezing. If you're going to freeze to death, it's got to be, freezing or, 20s and 30s and things like that. And that is just not the case. And we've been in the 30s here already. I don't think anybody thinks winter's here yet. But in the Verde Valley, our overnight lows have even been down to the 20s. So very quickly, the need is here now. It's not for winter time necessarily. I mean, we need to start this today.
Exactly. The need is now. And as you well know, the Verde Valley does not have an emergency shelter. So people they do live in their vehicles or they have to camp. And we just want to make sure that they're safe. And these donated items can make such a huge difference.
Right. Rick, again, I want to, if I can trouble you, you've been there, you've it sounds like been on the road a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Probably through highs and, lows, valleys and mountains out there. What is your biggest concern? I would think day to day is going to be shelter and just...
That is a big concern, especially at night.
Sure.
When the temperature drops. And you're correct about that. It doesn't have to be freezing to get a hypothermia. It could happen in 45-degree weather. And my main concern, basically, as far as the elements, is being warm.
Yeah.
That's the key thing.
Yeah.
I stay in my vehicle. I don't have it as bad as some people. I really don't. But I can imagine that the folks who don't have a vehicle, it must be really harsh on them out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we talk about protection from the elements, but there's even a safety. Most, I think, times it's safer inside a vehicle, say, than just camping out on the ground or what have you. Is there any way, do you have any idea of how many folks who need these services we have, say, in the Verde Valley, how many homeless folks we have in the Verde? Do you have any way to know that?
Well,
at any given time?
What I will tell you is that we did a homeless count the last week of June of this year. And we counted 71 homeless individuals in our community.
Okay.
And we will be doing that count again for federal purposes, because we do receive some funding. We will be doing that again in January. But when you come up with a number of 71, you always know it's higher than that,
right,
because you're not going to count everyone.
Right.
We have an opportunity at the Loft because we see a lot of the community's homelessness. But there are a lot of homeless individuals that do not know about the Loft. Catholic Charities has a PATH outreach program, and really what that is we have individuals that go out into the desert, under bridges, wherever they feel homeless could be living. And they take many of these donations that we're asking for today to the individual that may or may not be able to get into the Loft. Again, it's all about safety. Yeah. We want people to be safe,
right,
and to be, as Rick said, to be warm.
Sure. And statistically speaking, and I think everybody's heard this, we don't need to beat anybody with this, well, why should I donate? Again, I'm going to put on the devil's advocate hat of that jaded guy that I heard at lunch that day. Why should I help? And well, crime rates tend to go up when we don't have this kind of service in a community, and just things like that. You can take it and look at that and take it, for what it's worth. Your concern is more of a human element. You mentioned coats, hats, and gloves, all those things we think about with winter wear, and you said in good shape. They have to be brand new, gently used? Give me a guide.
As long as they are usable, we can put them to use. So, say you have a tent that's been sitting on a shelf for, years, and it's still very usable, we would take that very gratefully.
Okay.
And because we do have a laundry facility, we are going to, whenever possible, when sleeping bags do get wet or muddy or whatever happens through the winter, right, we have an opportunity to wash those up and reuse them.
Okay.
So any items that are still can be repurposed, can be utilized, we would welcome.
If there's a few miles left,
please.
Those are the kinds of things you're after.
Yes.
Okay, well, I got to take another break here. We're getting more talk to do than we have show left, so we need to pause, and we'll come back, kind of wrap it up with folks at Catholic Social Services Countywide, back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Yes, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Fire can happen at any time. What would you try to save?
My family photos.
My grandfather's war memorabilia.
My dogs.
I'm firefighter Brandon Wacker with the Cotton Fire Department. A working smoke detector is your best defense in the event of a fire. Make sure you have a smoke detector in every room except your kitchen. Test them monthly and change the battery once a year. Take the time to save the things you can't replace.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
We welcome you back to the program. Just a couple of minutes here. We would encourage you to find out more. 634-4250 is a number to call, I think, Carol, for any information beyond this that we've been able to share in our short time here. But let me just kind of throw it to you to wrap up. What do people need to know? Oh, the drop-off.
Yes, that's important. Yes, there are, of course, Catholic Charities. We're at 736 North Main Street. Drop your items off anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But we also have some other locations. Simply Amazing Consignment, which is on Main Street here in Cottonwood. And then this year we, and I want to give a shout out to Patty Greer at APS, because Arizona Public Service is another drop-off site, and again, we'll be taking donations through December, and thank you very much for considering Catholic Charities and letting us reuse items that can keep our community most vulnerable individuals warm this winter.
Rick, can I get you any kind of concluding remark from you here? You got about 20 seconds to.
Yeah, I would like to say that donations are definitely needful, and there's a lot of people out there that are homeless this winter, and it's going to be tough, and it's really a humanitarian effort more than anything.
Yeah.
We have to look past the homelessness and just see that there are people in need, and that's the main issue.
And the need, unfortunately, never ends, but there is a good way. We thank you both. Good way to become part of the solution rather than the problem. 634-4254 if you do have questions. We appreciate it. Thanks much, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
It's our program. It's Countywide. We'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.